So I'm going to start with 4 magical words. Once upon a time. I simply adore these words because when I hear them, all the restrictions of real life disappear and everything is possible. Well, I'm here today to tell you a once upon a time story, which started back in elementary school when I was young and hungry for knowledge, and especially for the English language. So when I realized that my family had no extra money, unfortunately, for English language lessons at such a young age, I discovered a different way, a joyful and fun way to learn English. And I used songs. I memorized songs and to learn chunks of language which I could use to impress the neighborhood kids. Of course, back to a time when there was no digital music, no internet, my only way to hear songs, to listen to songs, was an old tape recorder. So I would put on a tape with songs that I loved, and I would sing non-stop, disturbing the neighbors until I learned the songs. Back then, of course, I had never imagined that songs would be a landmark in the lives of thousands of my students years later, and in my own professional life as an English language teacher. So, back from the United States, right now, with degrees in literature, teaching, and education, married, a mother of 4, and a teacher of many, I realized that songs can transform a language learning classroom. After 30 years of researching, teaching, and writing, I am ready to share with you this idea that songs can transform a language classroom from this to this, achieving a cognitive and emotional metamorphosis which leads to amazing results in the learning and remembering the new vocabulary. Now, in order to understand the journey of an idea from my mind to a scientifically proven idea, allow me to go into a different setting, your homes. How many of you have children? Raise your hands. Very good, congratulations. How many of you plan to have them in the near future? Okay, so let's go to your homes. It's Sunday, you're ready for lunch, your son, teenage son, refuses to come with you and your wife, so you walk away kind of sad and angry because he said that he has heavy homework for his English language classroom. So as good parents, you let the child study only to find him an hour later singing passionately an English language song, a rock song by Sting actually, Rise and Fall, and you're like, you're ready for a fight. What happened? We thought you were studying. But Mom and Dad, I am studying. This is my homework for tomorrow's class. I need to learn this song by tomorrow by heart, and I need to use this vocabulary to write a creative writing piece. You're looking at him suspiciously, of course, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to call the teacher first thing tomorrow. And please, I do not blame this parent, who, by the way, is a real parent among other real parents. Because back then, I also doubted the value of songs. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to show you the father. I doubted the value of songs in a language classroom other than a kids' class when we would learn the alphabet, numbers, and have fun. So I do not blame any parent or people who would say that songs are not serious work in an English language classroom or in any language classroom. So how did I discover the linguistic value of songs? As you may have known already, every discovery, every great idea stems from either a problem, a disappointment, or a disaster. Well, I faced all 3. So when I started teaching, I realized that the most challenging aspect of learning a new language was vocabulary learning, but not only learning the new vocabulary, remembering it and using it properly, and mostly with teenagers. So when my first disappointment, or best, my first reality punch took place when I started working in a local college, and I had a mixed ability classroom with 50, 60 students trying to learn English, and they needed English desperately in order to get to the major of their field of study, which was engineering, business, or computers, nothing to do with English. So their problem was, I want to learn, but with minimum or no effort, because miss, I'm working, I have a lot of other things to do, or I want to learn, but can I learn? I'm not really good with languages. I have some disabilities, learning disabilities, or whatever. So after various desperate efforts to teach them, I was in desperate need for a miracle. At that moment, I remembered songs. And I remembered how much fun I had as a kid. Without any particular effort, I could learn a lot of vocabulary. So songs came to my rescue again after so many years, in a time of despair. So, how else do you think I would calm down 50 young people who, in the Mediterranean heat, who would rather be at the beach swimming or enjoying themselves rather than being in a compulsory English language classroom? So, anxious to help them, I tried to link my own linguistic goals to songs. So grammar, vocabulary, listening, writing, poetry writing, letter writing, they all became songs. Or rather, the songs became lessons. First thing I would do, put a song on the cassette player. By the way, I had to carry the cassette player because back then, they wouldn't provide such unnecessary gadgets at college level. So I had to carry in the morning my cassette player, put a tape with a song that I loved, and first and foremost, I had to convince my students to start singing. I would even test them on their ability to remember the song the next morning. So they would have to sing, and then once the singing was established, then then something magical happened. Then we would analyze language, react to language, recreate language, and it was amazing. There was magic in my classrooms. And soon, I could see the metamorphosis that I wanted. Their dull faces started shining. Their body postures started changing. And I could actually see measurable results in their ability to learn vocabulary, to remember it, and to use it properly to recreate their own pieces of writing. They even smiled more. They came to class on time, and soon, the channels of communication between us opened. And don't think that we only sang in class. That would be great. No. But once we established this communication and the joy in the classroom, they were willing to put up with the more difficult stuff, with the less interesting aspects of my curriculum, without any resistance, of course. So the songs connected us all in an invisible thread of love, understanding, collaboration in a magic circle of learning. These positive experiences went on for years, not simply at college level, but with every different age that I taught. Yet many parents, like the one in the story, and many supervisors doubted the value of songs as serious instructional tools. But I knew that songs were serious work because I could see the results in my students' IQ and EQ daily. Their results were a proof, but I still needed a proof. I needed to convince colleagues that songs had a scientific value in the language classroom. So off I went to a 5-year journey for a PhD in scientific measurable results on the effect of songs on vocabulary acquisition in the second language classroom. Now, my research focused on second language learning, vocabulary learning, music, songs, brain, and memory. 130 teenagers here in Cyprus, divided in 2 groups, the song group and the non-song group, tested and taught exactly with the same vocabulary, same instructions, same techniques. But one group was taught through a song, and the other one in the traditional way, through a regular passage. The results of my study Both groups improved in their learning, in their ability to remember and learn vocabulary and use it, but the song group had a significant statistical difference in their learning and in their ability to remember the new vocabulary. The results of my research allowed me to get a PhD, and they validated the value of songs in the language classroom. However, they revealed amazing things about the human brain that I was not aware of. You see, when we sing, both hemispheres of our brain work simultaneously. Songs, therefore, link the two hemispheres of the brain, helping memory through a harmonization of the two hemispheres. So as the right side learns the melody, the left side learns the song, learns the word. So this is a perfect exercise for the brain. So my message is, one of my messages here today is when you find your child studying by singing, congratulate him and join him in the singing. Because songs can become great tools to exercise our brains in schools, in our homes, but also in hospitals where people stay for months doing nothing, in retirement homes where people face dementia, and songs are amazing for people with Alzheimer's. If a song stays in the mind of an Alzheimer's patient long after he has forgotten his personal details, doesn't a song deserve a place in our classrooms and in our homes? Their rich language and melody steer people into action and interaction and facilitate learning by harmonizing the brain, boosting self-esteem and creative thinking, lowering stress, connecting people, and transforming the learning experience. My research transformed the learning experiences of thousands of my students in the 30 years that I've been teaching, but they also transformed my own life as an educator. They opened a huge window which allowed me to look deeper into the minds of my learners, to transform learning into a joyful, social, collaborative experience. My wish is for the Ministry of Education to embrace this idea and to give songs a solid position in education, and for all of us to view singing as a productive action which energizes and exercises and harmonizes our brains. If enthusiastic and knowledgeable educators are trained to use songs methodically and wisely, and if parents give a chance to innovation in education, then language will be acquired naturally and happily, and our classroom and homes will be transformed into joyful learning spaces of the 21st century. That will be the day we will allow music and songs to color our lives and our educational systems. That will be the day we will be able to hear mesmerizing melodies of children's voices coming out of every classroom and every home. And that will finally be the day when my once upon a time fairy tale, the fairy tale I accidentally started back in the 70s with my old cassette player, will have a happy ending, when songs connect us all in a magic circle of learning and joy, and when all teachers and learners will live happily ever after. Thank you very much for your attention. And remember, next time you get in your cars, remember to exercise your brain by singing a song. Thank you very much.